Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA front office show. Another crazy day in the NBA free agency. Oh boy, still fully in swing, and now we've got trades really starting to drop. We've got more Kevin Durant stuff to talk. We've got actual trades that were completed, including a massive one involving Rudy Gobert. Lots to dive into. I'm Trevor Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA. Keith, how are you doing? I'm kind of tired. This is the last
Yeah,
24 hours have been nerve-wracking, but I love it.
tired is the operative word. I think tonight. It's funny we were talking before we came on live. Well, you guys were all rocking out to the Mega Man music.
Mhm.
We were talking like we're both pretty wiped out. And Trevor, man, we're old. I guess there's no other lesson, right? Other than
That's what it
we're old.
means.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Well,
hey, we're here. We're ready to go. We're gonna bring some energy and get
mhm.
into some stuff because there is some. Whoo boy, some blockbusters today.
Let's just start with it. Rudy Gobert going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Wolves do get the center that we've been hearing that they were pursuing to put next to Karl Anthony Towns, moving Towns to the 4 after all, and it is a frequent defensive player of the year candidate, Rudy Gobert, best defensive center in the NBA. Before we get into the picks, the money, all that, what do you think of the fit Gobert in Minnesota?
Yeah, this one is really interesting because you think of Cat as a center, right? So is this better, right? This is a where is this, because he's now going to be playing the 4 full time. Obviously this is the I gotta imagine the biggest starting duo in the league, or at least it's way up there. So that is something interesting. Cat has a lot of defensive pressure taken off him with Gobert. There's a thought out there. I saw some people saying at times when he's played the 4 in his career, he's kind of been able to be kind of just hyper and bouncing around and doing stuff, and that's better than the more what's the word I'm looking for? Like kind of you have to be like really detail oriented and hold down the back line when you're the
Oh,
5,
sure. Yep.
and that's not what he's necessarily considered to be great at. So we'll see how that goes there. I think he has a chance to be just as dominant offensively. Good luck if you're a team with a small 4, because one of the two of them is probably going to get you down around the dunker spot at times. But this is a look for the Wolves, and we're going to see.
Now, in order to get Rudy Gobert, they gave up Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Leandro Balmoro, Jared Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler, who, I mean, we can just basically consider that another first round pick,
Yep.
and 4 first round picks
Yep.
for 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029. 2029 is top 5 protected. 2026, there is a swap in there. So all of this is a superstar trade, right? This is an Anthony Davis trade. This is a
Yep.
Paul George trade, but it's for Rudy Gobert. I think Utah did really well here with in terms of what they got. I didn't expect the return to be quite this much. Now, not necessarily in terms of the players they got who are fine, but
Hmm.
this many picks gives them so much flexibility moving forward. I wouldn't have never guessed 4 picks and a pick swap plus Walker Kessler for Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, you're spot on with the players, because it's not that any of the players are necessarily bad here. Leandro Balmara, we'll see if he ever develops into anything, but like Jared Vanderbilt's a nice player. Patrick Beverly, good player. Malik Beasley, good player. Walker Kessler, he was, pretty highly thought of coming into the draft as at least a defensive big man. So I think, they did okay there, but I think it is, the picks are what matters here, right? There's also a pick swap in there. Trevor, my Twitter's going off. Oh, nothing. I thought we were going to get something. Thought you were going to play the breaking news, but they're
Uh,
talking about Canada World Cup.
it's Mark Stein retweeted
Yeah.
it. That's
So,
what happened.
all right,
Yep.
we'll come back to to that on another slow day. But yeah, this is Danny Ainge doing his Brooklyn trade, right? With the Jazz. This is kind of what he did with Boston, with the Brooklyn trade, which was when I trade my star, I'm going to get a whole bucket full of picks, and we'll go. If anybody asks, to be clear, doesn't sound like they're trading Donovan Mitchell. Sounds like he's in on this, and they're going to rebuild around him and go from there. So let's see, where that all goes. I do have a question. I don't want to turn this into a whole Nets thing because we don't have to spend really any time there because they haven't done anything yet. But if this is what Rudy Gobert gets,
right?
what does Kevin Durant get?
Yeah, so Brian Windhorst on ESPN said threw out there that the Nets, basically what he's heard is the Nets are asking for a young star and 3 first-round picks. Well, they can't be asking for that anymore. Not after what Rudy Gobert just got. Now, who knows what? I mean, 2 young stars and 4 picks, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect out of that. There, like, that is a absolute, you're looking for monster. I think it said on Twitter like 12 first-round picks, but clearly I was joking. And it's, you can't really do anything more than where it's at with, which is the through 2029 and then the pick swaps in between. But you're going to need a whole lot back in a Kevin Durant trade, and it's not all trades are made equal, obviously, right? Sure. It's, a lot depends on, what else you're getting there, but yeah, let's see what comes together, in this one. This is just, monster, stuff going on here in Utah now, clearing salary. They've really kind of cleaned up their books quite a bit long term. Well, that's something we'll get into down the line a little bit more, but they've, I think really kind of done their thing, here with, cleaning everything up and moving on with a massive package.
Do you think that Minnesota offered that for Kevin Durant, this package?
That's a good question. I don't know. I would guess probably not.
I wonder if they were so deep in the Gobert conversation.
Yeah, I wonder that too. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't. They would have had to get I think a little bit more money, but you could have got there pretty easily. They had probably one more guy they could have thrown in because Durant makes just a little bit more than Gobert. But yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting. It's interesting, but in any event, now Minnesota moves forward with Gobert, and by the way, Rudy Gobert salary $38 million this season, $41 million next season, $44 million essentially the season after, $47 million if we round up the season after that. He just turned 30.
Yep.
I'm a little nervous for what that's going to look like for the Wolves down the road.
I think it actually holds up okay.
You think he's fine at 34? He'll be fine.
Yeah, probably that last year will start to look a little rough, but I mean, this is a guy. He's not. I'm not trying to say he's not athletic, but he's not ever been, need to be hyper athletic or anything. But we'll see. If the game continues to change, maybe it'll be different. I did see someone in the chat say Rudy Gobert gets played off the floor in the playoffs. That's actually never happened. People say that he's always been on the floor. Sometimes teams attack him a little bit better, but he's been on the floor in those playoff games too. So yeah, I don't think that's really something we need to continue to repeat.
All right, another trade we need to get into. Malcolm Brogdon winds up with your Celtics. Another situation where a player who, as of last trade deadline, you would have expected to get a lot more, falling right in line with Christian Wood, Jeremy Grant. There's another one I'm forgetting in here. And now Malcolm Brogdon getting way less than anybody would have anticipated here coming from the Boston. I mean, basically it's Brogdon for a first-round pick, right?
Yeah, and it's a protected first-round pick too.
Yes.
Now, if the Celtics keep this pick, it means everything went wrong for Boston this year because it's top 12 protected. But it is this one came out of nowhere. Like we're all sitting there kind of thinking, all right, well, and we're going to get into the Danilo Gallinari signing in just a second. Yep. But we all kind of got in there saying, all right, where is this going to go? What is this going to look like? With the Gallinari stuff, and then all right, that one seems locked in. A lot of reporting all over the place, and then that comes into all right. Now Boston pivots to using the TPE. This was not a traded player exception deal. This was a salary matched deal in this, and they get Brogdon. All right, so let's get into it from the Celtics side first. They took out a lot of money in this trade, both this year and moving forward. And then I think they also are getting a player who can be very, very good, but he misses an awful lot of games. I would put the high water mark for him at 60 games played. That's probably the extreme
Yeah.
high. He just misses a ton of time every year with this. So, but on the court, fits in great. You know, he's going to be another ball mover, another shooter, another guy who can do a lot of
He
stuff.
fits
Still
anywhere.
defensively. What was that?
He fits anywhere, really. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, really.
that's the great part about when he is healthy is you can plug him
Yep,
in anywhere, on
yep,
ball, off ball, defensively,
yep.
everything, fine.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got enough size. I think they might play him at the 3 just a little bit against certain lineups. So yeah, it's a great addition when he's going to be healthy. But this is also Boston has really good guard depth now because now you've got him, you've got Smart. All right, those two guys probably both going to miss 20 games each. But then you've got Derek White, you've got Peyton Pritchard, and then you have Jaylen Brown as well. So that plays at the guard spot. My guess is maybe one more guard wing gets added here before free agency's up because they've got a whole bunch of roster spots to go. So yeah, I think this is I think this is a great addition for the Celtics. Especially they give up no rotation players in this trade.
Yeah, and that's we heard multiple first round picks for Brogdon. Again, similar to Jeremy Grant, similar to Christian Wood, all these other guys that we had heard, multiple first round picks. Now this offseason, they're getting traded for nothing. I mean, protected future first. You had Christian Wood go for the 26th pick, a 2025 Bucks pick, netted Jeremy Grant. So but a lot of it though, again, we've talked about this, the piece that gets missed is that they're clearing cap space in these moves. Like that has been extremely valuable, the ability to free up cap space. So now do the Pacers have the ability to get in on a DeAndre Ayton situation now?
Yeah, the Pacers are sitting right around. Well, they just agreed to re-sign Jalen Smith. We don't know what the deal terms money-wise is going to look like. Remember, they are capped at paying him $4.6 million because of the declined option. So what's going to happen with that one is we don't even know if it even went to that amount. He was actually really, really good for the Pacers after the trade deadline. He played really well in Indiana. So we'll see, where that goes with him and how much. But let's just say they're probably anywhere between 25 and 32 million, pending what Jalen Smith gets. So that is that's a ton of cap space. That puts you right in range to do whatever you need to do. If you wanted to go get Ayton, if you wanted to work a sign and trade, makes it right. We talked a lot yesterday about the complications, but yeah, because you can send salary out, probably Miles Turner, but also accept that imbalanced salary because you're coming in and getting you have cap space to take in the bigger salary. So an imbalanced trade works for them really well. So let's see, what that all comes together and looks like, because this is, with the, Pacers, that they're setting themselves up here to really kind of tear this thing down. We don't know what happens with Miles Turner, but he healed now. Let's keep an eye on that over at least the next few days and see what it looks like if those guys are going to be traded.
Yeah, could very well find themselves on the move. While we're on this Boston, so we're going to get into most of the signings and stuff in just a moment. We're going to get in our full sheet. But since we're here anyway, the Celtics also pick up Gallinari, Cornette. Gallo was an interesting one where a lot of people weren't sure where he was going to land after he originally gets traded from Atlanta to San Antonio. Was going to get bought out by San Antonio. Comes to the Celtics. What mechanism do they use to ultimately sign Gallinari?
Yeah, so
or will they?
Yeah, Danilo Gallinari is getting the taxpayer mid-level exception from the Celtics. It's going to be a 2-year deal with a player option on the second year. That's now been, I think the reporting was kind of all over the place earlier in the day, but that's all been confirmed. It's going to be the mid-level exception for 2 years to the Celtics with a player option. We'll see if this second year is partial or non-guaranteed. We'll see what that looks like, and ultimately. But yeah, for now, that's what we know. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, like, Boston's using Thomas Bryant. We don't even know that Thomas Bryant's going to the Celtics. There's been reporting that Boston, the Lakers, and the Raptors are all interested in him. Whichever one of the three gets him, he's going to be on a minimum because that's all three of them have left to offer.
And that's why the reporting is. That's why he's in no hurry.
Yep.
Everybody's got the same amount of money, so he's going to take his time and figure out exactly where he wants to go, and then
Exactly.
they
Yeah,
go from there.
he should be looking, and the other thing is too, if he knows he's got those minimum offers because they'll probably just be hanging out there for him, is just wait, and then what he can do after that is he can maybe see somebody get super desperate, here at the end of the week or beginning part of next week, is like, hey, we need a center. We'll give you part of an exception to come.
Correct.
That's why there should be no rush for him. Guys, stop putting fake stuff in the chat. It's just dumb. Grow up. Good Lord. This is so silly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People do that. They
Yeah.
look.
I don't know what you get out of it, thinking everybody thinks you guys are, newsbreakers here in the chat. Like, we all have the notifications on. We're all going to get it
Yep.
at the same time if
That's
there's
right.
actual news. But yeah, it's so Gallo to the Celtics. It's funny because there were a lot of people like, he can't do this, he can't do that. Well, that's why he's available for the taxpayer mid-level. If these guys were great, these guys would be available for way more than that. It's if you're getting guys on the minimum or the taxpayer, yeah, they're gonna have flaws. They're not perfect players. Otherwise, you're getting paid a lot more. But Celtics wanted shooting and scoring off the bench. Gallo gives you that. He's he's not going to be on the court at the end of close games because of his defensive deficiencies, but he'll be out there for this.
All right. Another trade that was, pretty surprising, right?
Yeah.
We knew Atlanta was going to make more moves, but they send Kevin Huerter to the Sacramento Kings. What do you think about that? I kind of like. Huerter makes some sense. Like the Kings have done some work now on the wing to get Malik Monk. Now they've got Kevin Huerter. What are the Hawks thinking here? Let's start there. Why does this make sense for the Atlanta Hawks, for a team that's looking to make moves that are going to help them win this next season?
Yeah, for the Hawks side, this is all about rebalancing the books a little longer. Out in the future, help them a little bit this year, clear a little bit of money. They got Justin Holiday, who should be a reasonable Huerter replacement for what they asked Kevin Huerter to do as they kind of retool that roster around DeJounte Murray in there with Trae Young in the backcourt. So we'll see what that ultimately looks like there. And then Maurice Harkless, I don't even know that he'll necessarily stick. He probably will, more as a tradable contract later down the line for Atlanta, because he struggled with so many injuries. He just hasn't been able to get traction the last couple of years. But yeah, this was about clearing out a contract and making space. We'll see if it leads to a John Collins trade later. That seems to have gone pretty quiet, but that could be one, because of the level of player and the amount of salary, that could be tied up in a KD kind of thing. Not saying in an actual KD trade, but just like, hey, we've got something lined up, but we got to see on KD first.
Sure.
Where's that going to go? Because that is holding up some teams right now from doing some stuff, because it's we might need this contract in a trade, so we may not be able to do that. So we'll see. I like that. With that, we'll get to there's a good question in there about why the Lakers are already announcing deals. We'll get to that in just a couple minutes.
Yep. Okay. Should we get into the some of the transactions then?
We didn't really talk the Kings side.
Oh yeah. We should talk Kings, I guess.
Kings,
I guess I'm sorry, fans. They've suffered enough for the last 16 years.
And it's a great trade for them.
I'm like, okay, the Kings are a buyer here. They're landing a guy who I think is a good fit. Again, you get a little bit of help on the wing. They already picked up Malik Monk. And off you go. I kind of like this for them. Look, you can't have too many wings right now. And Keegan Murray, you can kind of, I think he's ready to play, but you can bring him along a little bit more slowly with Kevin Huerter there in the mix. So this is a good move for them.
Yeah, I'm guessing they go into, as it stands right now, go in with Sabonis, Barnes, Murray, Huerter, Fox. You got Mitchell coming off the bench. I'm definitely missing some guys coming off the bench, but yeah, they're that team's got a lot of talent now. All of a sudden, now the challenge is the West is super loaded, so who knows necessarily where it really goes, but they're doing stuff, and it's stuff that makes sense. They're putting together a roster now that makes some sense. They still have Rashawn Holmes. We'll see what happens with that. If they keep him, I kind of think I would hang on to him at this point and see where that goes and play him behind Sabonis. But Yeah, I really think this was a really good trade for them to get Kevin Herter. I think he is a really solid player. Yeah, Terrence Davis, Chimezi Metu, a couple guys who can also play
Yep.
coming off their bench. So this Kings team is all of a sudden they're in a much, much better place.
The West, it's getting more and more difficult by the
Yeah.
day. It feels like getting crazy in the
Yeah, the
Western
only
Conference.
team that feels like they're sliding in the West is the Jazz, right? And that's purposeful. Like
Well, and
they're
the Spurs.
restarting. Yes, the Spurs, they were already kind of on their
Yes.
way there. Yeah, the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Thunder they're not going to be good purposefully, but they're also not, I don't think, going to be like horrendously bad. Like I think
Right.
you're going to have to go in and actually play to beat them most nights, and you're not just going to show up. And then I think the uh the Jazz will, let's see where all this goes, because that's very much in flux right now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, right now, like okay. So the Jazz are putting out there, we're not going to trade Donovan Mitchell. We're going to build around him. But even if they were going to trade Donovan Mitchell, wouldn't they put out, no, we don't want to trade him?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I think you would have had nothing said, probably
yeah,
more
that's
likely.
true.
I do think it makes sense for them to say, hey, no, we think it's, I think teams now feel we can reset very quickly, especially if we handle everything right around the roster. But yeah, we'll see. I've got my eye on guys like Bogdanovich, Conley, Clarkson, because if you're resetting, I mean, those are nice guys to have around Donovan Mitchell, but do you really need them? Let's see what that looks like.
All right. Now let's get into
Yeah.
our moves of the day, or our free agent transactions of the day. Aaron Holiday. Let's kick things off there. Lands with Atlanta.
With his brother.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's there now? Justin.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. What do you think about that? I mean, just solid backup. You've already got DeJounte Murray there. You've got Trae Young, but could use a capable backup. But I think Aaron Holiday can do that.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I don't think he's going to play all that much.
No.
Because I think they'll mostly, go with. This is one of those situations where Murray and Young will start together, but then they'll also kind of, in a way, back each other up because they're both going to play heavy minutes. But it's fine. There's no, nothing really, bad about signing a guy on a minimum. I think that works.
True. All right. We expected this, but Zach LaVine.
Yes.
Gets paid. Yep. There were a lot of people asking yesterday, like, okay, where's the Zach LaVine sign? Well, here it is. Here it is. Yep. 5 years for Zach LaVine, $215 million. Again, back with Chicago, which is what we said from the beginning, that's probably where this would ultimately end up.
Yeah, I think with Zach LaVine, I almost kind of wondered, did he just want the day to himself as the big signing? Was that what he wanted here? Maybe that was where this was at.
And then Rudy Gobert blocked it.
Yeah, that's it. No. Yeah, and then it was like, hey, we're gonna blow that right off the map. You know what was funny? Just kind of a little insight into the day. We had the Kevin Herter trade. Then shortly thereafter, we had the Brogdon trade. And then shortly thereafter that, we had the Gobert trade. By the time we get to the Gobert trade, I completely had forgotten about the Herter trade.
Oh, yeah.
Because I got obviously roped into Celtics stuff with the Brogdon trade. And it's funny, I was recording a show, Celtics Beat podcast is what it's called, with Adam Kaufman, when the Brogdon trade broke. And I was like, wait, what's happening here? Like, I was, front office fans will find this shocking. I was rendered speechless for a rare time in my life. D Lasso 23 in the chat points out Zach LaVine, the highest paid Bull in team history, which is absolutely correct.
Yep.
Which is kind of wild when you consider that Michael Jordan, when the salary cap wasn't really impacted by max deals.
Right.
So yeah.
Yep. But still, inflation and all that.
Yep. Yeah. Little different 20 years later.
Yeah, exactly. Ricky Rubio winds up.
Hold on. We missed you for the Bulls. Derek Jones Jr.
Oh, I did miss Derek Jones Jr. For some reason. See, here's the thing. I looked at those and I went, we already talked about those yesterday. It's all blurring together because I had fans today saying, why is the Kevin Durant trade not done yet? This was like earlier this afternoon. And I'm like, it hasn't even been 24 hours since free agency started, but it just so much happens so fast our perception of time just completely
Yeah, it
is
gets
out the
completely
window.
blown out. Yep.
Yeah. So I
I
here I am thinking, oh, we totally talked about this because that was like definitely 5 days ago, right? No, it wasn't.
Yeah, right. I had Celtics fans like, is Brad sleeping? Like, what's he doing? Why has he done nothing? And I was like, it's been like 12 hours,
Yeah.
guys. A shout out from Tokyo in the chat. Love it.
Oh, welcome in.
Yeah, welcome in. Good morning in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Tell us how tomorrow is. Yeah, Jones Jr. and Drummond Rank spent a ton of time on these. Andre Drummond, perfectly good backup for Nick Vucevic. I think gives you a little bit of cover too if you were to trade Vooch, because we've seen Drummond start, and I think he's been pretty solid there. And then Derek Jones Jr., just a quality bouncy backup that's kind of done some stuff over the course of his career. So they're splitting the mid level on these guys. Nothing crazy, but I just think a couple good good signings for these for the Bulls.
Solid backups on
Yep.
the wing and at the center position.
Yep.
All right, now Ricky Rubio. Again, we've been talking about this for months.
Yeah.
That Ricky Rubio would probably ultimately wind up back in Cleveland. And here we are. Now, I don't recall off the top of my head, is he expected to be ready for the start of the season?
No. It sounds like probably January, maybe February.
Okay.
So we're talking mid-season-ish.
He was a good fit there, just being kind of that veteran, steady ball handler that you can put in there. So maybe if you're Cleveland, you're looking at him and thinking, all right, but we get him fully ramped up and integrated sometime close, maybe a month to go until the playoffs or something. They're feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And related, we'll skip down a couple. Raul Neto was signed too, and my guess is that's the cover for Rubio missing the first part of the season. They're gonna have Neto out there, basically handling exactly what Rubio would do for them. And then Robin Lopez heads off to the Cavs because if there's anything the Cavs needed was more size up front. So, but I think Cleveland. What I really think happened here is, they do not want to get into a situation like they did last year where they have multiple injuries up front, and then they're playing two-way guys and guys they signed off the street and those kind of things. So they want to really be well covered in case of injury. And now, I mean, these are three very solid veteran depth signings. And I'm going to guess Colin Sexton ends up back in Cleveland because the market is really kind of drying up for Sexton to go anywhere else. So I do think that's where he'll land back. But I like all three of these moves for the Cavs, especially considering they're all minor costs. Somebody asked in the chat, Rubio's injury, torn ACL. He tore his ACL at one point.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Sexton, I suppose. I mean, I guess like if they're clearing enough cap space, I haven't looked at their cap sheet, but Utah could make a big run at the Pacers could, right? Depending on
the Spurs. I just don't think any of them are going to.
Agreed. That's the thing. There's some teams out there that could, but I don't think they will.
I think you would also need to get to a really big number for the Cavs not to match. And then I think you start to, all right, are we doing a contract we even regret signing just to get them not to match. So
Theo Pinson was one I don't think we talked about yesterday, who no longer two-way eligible.
Yep, correct.
And so winds up getting a one-year deal in Dallas. I mean, no, he's an energy guy, especially on the bench.
He's really good at wearing the same color as the opponents and standing on the corner. So we'll add probably few $100,000 in fines to this salary for what this will actually cost the
I think they're okay with it.
Yeah, sure. They should be.
But that's like one Shark Tank deal for Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. One Shark Tank, one good Shark Tank deal.
Shark Tank deal. Yeah, that's right. Yep. That's all he needs.
No doubt.
I thought this was fantastic. Bruce Brown.
This might be the best signing of the summer so far.
This was the make everyone else feel bad signing. Everyone else who used their taxpayer mid-level saw this and went, oh,
yep.
we could have done that. Bruce Brown for the taxpayer mid-level 2-year deal with the Denver Nuggets. Great signing, great off-ball cutter. Can do a lot of things for you out there. So I mean, great get for the Nuggets. Maybe the best deal so far in terms of bang for your buck of the offseason. Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned his cutting because he is an outstanding cutter. And now he's playing with the best big man passer in the game. So
he's gonna.
I think you're gonna by like Christmas, I think a lot of people are going to be Bruce Brown's averaging what now for
Yeah.
points? Like, and I think people are going to be holy cow. And I think the other thing for Bruce Brown too is he shot 40% from three last year. Now it wasn't on super high volume, but if that volume starts to scale any, that's going to be really good. So between that and the KCP trade, well done for the Nuggets
Yeah.
to kind of shore up their perimeter wing depth with a couple defenders who can also do some stuff offensively for them.
While we're on the Nuggets, can we just still pause for a moment at DeAndre Jordan and
Oh
say
god,
what
I don't get
why?
that one. What
I don't
a you know,
They made up
yeah,
for it with the
what
Bruce
a weird
Brown
trade.
move,
Yep.
right? You balanced the scales, but that did not make any sense.
Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't just bring back
Boogie.
Cousins.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was really good for them too.
Mhm.
So yeah, that one's weird. I don't something feels off about that one.
The Warriors
The
bring
champs,
as expected, they bring back Kevon Looney, 3-year deal,
really
20.
good value for them, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Yeah.
about too. When you look at Hartenstein, you look at Mo Bamba, Kevon
Mhm.
Looney, the Warriors got a really nice deal here to land him at that price tag relative to what his peers were going for.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 8.5 million average salary. I mean, that is just, that's great. I mean, now it doesn't, who cares? It doesn't open up any flexibility for
No.
them, but, it just keeps their tax bill down lower. I thought he was going to get 10 easy. I thought he'd get,
Yeah.
the equivalent to the mid level.
You get the championship bump too. That's what I
Yeah,
was
exactly.
expecting.
Yep. Yeah. Instead, it was the championship bump out of
Yeah.
Golden State, which one guy he won't show on here. So let's just cover him now because we're not going to catch him with another team. Nemanja Bjelica left the Warriors to go
Yes.
overseas to Turkey. So he's gone. He's going to head overseas, probably a much bigger deal and a minimum deal. So that's where he's going to head out to. So with that, but we'll talk about the other guys they lost because we I don't think we talked to any of them yet, but Dante DiVincenzo coming in to replace. This is he got most of the taxpayer mid level. They'll leave a little bit to sign Ryan Rollins, one of their second round picks,
Mhm.
to a longer than a 2-year deal. But this is a good get for the Warriors. It's not a perfect Gary Payton replacement because he's a different player, but you get another guy you can throw out there and say, hey, shoot, like that's all
Yep.
we really need you to do.
Yeah, and look, it's an annoyingly good get because it's the guy that was sitting out there on the market, and you're going, he's better than like he should be somewhere, right? Like this guy's pretty good, and then he winds up with the Warriors. You're like,
So
it's not like Boogie Cousins levels of outrage when Boogie went to the
yeah,
Warriors that one year. It's not like that or anything, but
yeah.
it's one of those deals where you go, oh man, that
Mhm.
helps it because for a minute there we are like, okay, the Warriors they lost a lot of their depth. They lost Otto Porter Jr. We're going to get to him in a minute. They
Yep.
lose Gary Payton. They're losing Bjelica. You're right. They lose one to Toscano Anderson. Well, okay, maybe the Warriors are going to get chopped down a little bit here. Oh no, wait,
Yep.
no, they got DiVincenzo, and that's
Yeah.
not to say he totally makes up for it, but still, that's a good get for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Does it feel a little, I know you're a big fantasy sports guy.
Uh-huh.
When you're in an auction draft and all
Yeah.
of a sudden you look around and you're like, crap, I have way too much money left for all
Yes.
these guys. It's starting to feel like there might be teams starting today to look and be like, oh, we still have our taxpayer mid level and we didn't sign anybody. Like, what are we gonna do? Like this is when you start to get deals that look a little weird, where it's like
Mhm.
that's an odd amount of money, but really
Right.
it's well, yeah, we're giving a little bit more here, and then we can move this guy via trade later and put his salary together in another deal or something like that. But that's just what it feels a little bit like.
Somebody's got to take this money, so
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, to some extent that is where it goes. Right. That's why Zach Lowe calls it the silly season.
Yeah.
Because everybody's just gonna spend every dime they have.
Let's go to Jalen Smith, who, I mean, there's
Yep.
no numbers in here for how much he got paid just
Yeah.
yet, but you also mentioned there's a cap on how much he could
Mhm.
actually get from Indiana, 4 million and change. So I think it's a good sign. Like they kind of pounced here on the Suns, and we talked about it. I remember talking about this with you that we
Mhm.
thought the Suns made a mistake to not pick
Yeah.
up the next year of Jalen
Yeah.
Smith's deal.
Don't decline third year team options.
Yeah.
Declining a fourth year is a bad idea. The third year is horrendous idea.
Mhm. So, but now the Pacers are able to pick him up, and they retained him, and he shot pretty well for them. Did well for the Pacers last season. So I think this is a solid piece for them to add in. Whether or not Miles Turner goes out, whether Aiton comes in, whatever the Pacers do from here, I think this is good value for them on Jalen Smith.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, because I mean, at most, this is going to be like 10 million bucks over 2 years,
Mhm.
because that's what they were kind of capped out at offering. I want to read his numbers just with the Pacers. Now, fair, the Pacers were not playing for a lot, so there's probably a little bit of noise in here.
Mhm.
But for a guy who hadn't shown a whole heck of a lot, he really popped. 13.4 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 1 block per game. That's pretty good already, because he did it in 24.7 minutes off the
Yeah.
bench. 53% shooting overall, 37% from three on 3.8 attempts per game. So that's pretty good volume and pretty good efficiency for a big guy. So if he's even anything approaching that, this is a steal of a contract for the Pacers.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. If he's 80% of that, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
You're happy
Yep.
with it if you can get that from him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk Lakers real quick here. The question in the chat was saying, how are the Lakers? Because I've gotten the messages too from Lakers Lakers media relations, like they are officially announcing these signings.
Yep.
How are they doing that when the moratorium has not been lifted yet?
Yeah, you can sign players signing minimum contracts right away. This was in part put in so that if these were guys teams wanted to bring in and put into summer league and things like that, that was one of the original thoughts. Get these guys in, get them into summer league and into camp. The one you won't see early is Lonnie Walker the fourth. That'll wait. That'll be like a July 6th announcement because of the moratorium and because he's getting the taxpayer mid-level. But Damian Jones, Troy Brown Jr., Juan Toscano Anderson, I believe both of their two ways too. Were both,
Yes, they did.
Or were
Correct.
all announced today. So congratulations, Lakers fans. You kind of got your three guys here, and we talked about all of them yesterday. So we don't need to spend a lot more time. You can go back and watch yesterday's show if you're really interested. But good for them, and off they go.
I do have, and this is just to step outside of this for a minute. I have a question I was meaning to ask you, and I forgot until this point of the show. So this is something that I was discussing on the Lakers Nation podcast. We were talking about Kevin Durant trades. We were talking about the designated player situation where you couldn't have, say, Ben Simmons and Bam Adebayo on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about how like the base year thing. I understand why that's installed. I understand it gets complicated and messy and all of that, but I understand the reason for it in terms of players were, trying to be sent to other teams after signing a contract with the extensions that you can get from your incumbent team and all of that. I understand the designated player rule. Why does it exist? I'm thinking back. I don't remember why they put that, why that came
you
into
can't
it.
have more than you can't have two of them.
Right. 2 on 1 team.
Yeah. Why they did that was they didn't want, what they didn't want to have to happen was teams start stacking guys. The teams that, so I'm just saying this with the Nets right now because they have the big salaries. They don't want the Nets to be able to have, all right, well, we already get Simmons. Now we're going to trade Kyrie for Devin Booker in a Devin Booker trade. We're going to trade KD in a trade for, I don't know, Brandon Ingram. And we're going to bring those guys in. And now you start stacking all these guys who are signed to designated rookies, because it's not that it's salary cap circumvention, because it certainly isn't, but it was a mechanism to make sure that those super big market teams that can afford $200 million of salary and luxury tax bills weren't able to start stacking all those guys together via trade. So it's just a little bit of a let's even the playing field out mechanism. Got it. We'll see if that changes, because I think we're going to get in the new CBA some changes to the stuff. So yeah, we'll see with that.
Yeah, I think there are going to be, and that's interesting. That makes sense now. I couldn't think of the reason why they put that in there, but I think there's going to be some change, particularly when we look at players and honoring contracts and things like that's going to be a big topic. I think there's going to be some tweaks that are made here to the entire system, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how that plays out during the next negotiation.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the kind of, all right, let's do a little give and take here, right? We want to put something in, so if you sign a 5-year extension, you can't leave in so many years, and then the other side may come back with, well, then we don't want to do this, and those kind of things. So yeah, well, I think we got some stuff, that's gonna kind of go back and forth here.
Indeed. Okay, back to it. Let's see. What is our next one that we did not cover yesterday? Did we do Mitchell Robinson?
We didn't,
Okay,
because it hadn't been done yet.
so that was it.
That might even happen today.
Was it
don't
today? I really don't know at this point. I
It
really don't
happened
know.
at some point in the last 2 days.
Yeah. So he gets a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Knicks. What are you thinking in terms of value here for Mitchell Robinson relative to, I mean, like when you look at what Kevon Looney just got?
I think it was very funny. Yeah, compared to Kevon Looney, little, quite a bit more. It's also kind of interesting. You're betting a little bit more on upside, right? Because he's only 24.
Yeah.
What I thought was funny was the number of people who said, "Man, Isaiah Hartenstein's better, going to back him up, and he's getting, a quarter of the money."
Yeah, that too.
The better guys are going to play less and make less money. Like, what are we doing? But yeah, I think Mitchell Robinson is, I think he is. There's still so much upside there, and that's kind of what this is a gamble on. Is, all right, we got something. I bet just because it's the Knicks, this isn't going to be truly 60 million. There's going to be some incentives in there. There's going to be some maybe descending, maybe a player option or a team option rather on the end, or non-guarantee or something. The Knicks will be slightly more protected in this one.
Yeah, agreed. But it is, at first glance, when you compare it to what other players got, I mean, it's funny that here it is, Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson stacked right next to each other because they're both on the Knicks now, same age, and definitely not the same salary here. So interesting, but I do think that upside is a factor.
And weird too, right? Because they're both coming off minimum deals, so it's not even one of those where one guy was all right, he's getting that because he was already paid, but yeah.
All right, Orlando, Bull.
Yep.
What's the story there? I saw that one. That one came through when there was a lot of other stuff happening. What's the deal here?
I don't know, man. He's super tall and long, and Orlando likes dudes who are super tall and long. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I mean, there's upside there for him. He's still only 23, despite being in the league for a few years. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think there's a chance, that maybe something pops, and it's a flyer for the Magic. I don't even know that he ends up making the end roster because they're starting to get really tight and crunched on roster spots. But yeah, let's see where that goes. I'm not putting you off. That one kind of caught me by surprise too. I was like, oh, okay.
I was not expecting to see that name pop up. That was definitely for sure. Yusuf Nurkic, one we were expecting to pop up. Now, for him, like we talk about the valuation for centers and things like that, and maybe he kind of helped set the market for Mitchell Robinson, but he's so much more accomplished. You know what you're getting. He's just a bull in the paint there. He could be a load to deal with. But 70 million, 4 years with Portland. He's in his prime, just shy of 28 years old. I mean, for Portland, they're stacking up guys and bringing back players and doing things. And I think Nurkic was probably at this point the best center that they could get, and he already is familiar with them. So I think this is just fine for Nurkic.
I think that's part of it too. Portland was stuck because if they lost him, they couldn't really replace him, right? Because they didn't have cap space. They didn't really have an exception anymore. So, yeah, I mean, but in the end, I think that's a perfectly fair deal for Nurkic, because this is a guy who, he's never been since moment one relying on any form of athleticism. So, he should be fine. He works well with Simons. He works well with Damian Lillard. So, yeah, and then it came in super late. And I think after we recorded, Gary Payton II to the Blazers. Took a guy off the champs. That's pretty good stuff. I think I thought that was a pretty nice signing for Portland. I think what they gave him, basically the taxpayer mid level, a little bit less than it. I really like that addition for them. Gives them somebody who will get after it defensively, which they really, really needed in that kind of guard wing rotation.
And Gary Payton II, given where his career has gone, he's not in a position where he can give a discount to the Warriors.
No, absolutely not. Yep.
Yeah. So he was a guy who he's got to go to the biggest salary, and he got it from Portland, which is great.
Yeah, and think a couple months ago when he broke his elbow.
Oh,
And it was like this poor guy breaks
Yep.
his elbow on a ridiculous flagrant foul by Dylan Brooks, who's not even mad at Gary Payton II. He's mad
Yeah.
about something else. Wipes the guy out, breaks his elbow, and we're thinking here, like, we don't even know if this guy's gonna, is he even gonna be able to play? Comes
Mhm.
back, helps the Warriors win a title, and now he cashes in with a big contract. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Because also, let's look at the age column. It's gonna be 30 this year.
Yeah.
So this is kind of
cash
get
in.
your money or don't ever get your money. So
Yep.
then Drew
Absolutely.
Eubanks sticks around on a minimum deal.
Wasn't he a hardship guy?
He did 4 hardship
That's
contracts
right. That's what it
with
was.
with Portland, and but played really, really well for the Blazers. So he did a really nice job for them. So yeah, really, really solid addition there. Now, Trevor, this is we're gonna work on fixing this on Spot Track. Go ahead and scroll all the way to the bottom because it sorts it by alphabetical. So that's why you're gonna get all the available TBD guys. You're sorted, right? You're just gonna go all the way down.
There we go.
And then we'll get Toronto, Utah, and Washington.
Okay. There we
They're
go.
hiding at the bottom.
That's that's why we missed them last night when we were
Yeah, because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, we didn't talk about a couple signings. And then I was like, oh, that's why.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about him now. Chris Boucher, the Raptors re-signed him. Thad Young, he's not showing here because Thad Young was an extension. Tim and Gary Harris got extension deals. Kind of a quirk, a fun little oddity because of the overlap between the opening of the negotiation period at 6 p.m. We still had 6 hours left in the current league year to do things with extensions and the like. So that's what happened with Thad Young. That's why you're not seeing him listed here. He's in another section under extensions in another part of the site. But yeah, Boucher and Young both stay pretty good, solid deals for them. We don't know what Porter got. They should have had enough to give him the non-taxpayer mid-level. So he probably got. Yeah, I think he got all of that minus they'll carve out enough to probably give their second round pick Christian Coloco, the big man, a longer than 2-year minimum deal. But Otto Porter Jr., what a get for the Raptors.
Oh,
just
big time
forward. And again, the champs, they lost talent between Porter, Peyton, Bielitsa, Toscano Anderson. Now they got a bunch of young guys that they're ready to play more. Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, but now they're going to have to really lean on those guys. But we're in the Toronto section. Porter, I love this signing for the Raptors.
Yeah, this is great for them. Again, you can't have too many wings, and he's going to be a nice fit there. And again, I would, based on what the other wings on the market have got, I would be surprised if this was not the non-taxpayer here.
It almost has to be.
Right.
Because otherwise I don't know where that is. Al Mack asks, why didn't the Nets keep Bruce Brown? I don't know. I kind of wonder if that was more a Bruce Brown thing than a Nets thing. He might have looked at that thing and said, I'm not going to be here with whatever the leftovers are that come in after you trade everybody else. I want to compete. I want to win a championship. Get me out of here.
That's possible for sure.
Nick Ice says the Nets are tanking. I don't think so because the Nets don't have their own picks.
But so this got brought up. Lowe's podcast, I believe it was last night.
Yeah.
It was like 3 a.m. or something. So I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it was Lowe, but they were talking about this.
It was Zach Lowe and Kevin Pelton.
Yeah. They were saying
about at the same time you did, about 3 a.m.
Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. They were saying, look, last time around, the Nets were in this situation. Everybody said the same thing. They're not going to tank. And then they tanked. I mean, they just pretty much said the picks are a sunk cost. And so we're not going to worry too much about winning games. Why is this different now? Why do you see them pushing to win right now as compared to what happened last time around when they did the whole Kevin Garnett and all the Paul Pierce, all those guys trade?
Yeah, those guys were not all they didn't move out big money to get those guys. And in this case, they can rebalance much quicker if they want to try to be competitive. And last time, I don't think they openly tanked. I think it was more of just that was how it went, and they didn't try to push past it any earlier. So I think they're going to do very similar approach, which, to be quite honest with, Sean Marks was excellent with. He was in a position where what he did was he built that team up with nothing. He really, built that team up from nowhere. John Krasinski at Athletic is reporting the Timberwolves have agreed to terms with Bryn Forbes
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
That's
an
a good
interesting
get.
signing. Yeah.
I mean, look, if you're gonna have the Twin Towers approach and you're gonna be sucking so many people into the paint to deal with Gobert and Towns I know can step outside, but you want to put shooting around those guys.
Yep,
You bring
absolutely,
Forbes
100%. That's exactly, what you're doing here, and you've got Anthony Edwards, you get D'Angelo Russell, you get your ball handlers covered. So yeah, let Forbes run around and shoot, and let's go with this one. But anyway, back to the Nets. They now we're turning into like one of the ESPN shows. All we talk about is the Nets and the Lakers. Did you see Perkins tonight?
I didn't. I saw it like before we went live here. Somebody said that Kendrick Perkins looked tired of talking about the Lakers or
He
something.
got up and walked
like
off the set.
Did he?
Yeah, they
Oh
said, all right, we're gonna talk Lakers now. And he was like, I don't want to talk Lakers. And he took his microphone off, put it on the table, and walked off the set. And poor Malika Andrews was like, what the hell is going on? Like, it was pretty funny, but it was also like, man, what are you doing, Perk? Like, with that. But anyway, to close the book on the Nets, and we'll get into the Wizards stuff here. They are how do we put this? It is, let's just make sure. Okay. It was just retweeting Krasinski's report. They might, Sean Marks did a wonderful job with nothing to build from last time. I think it's going to be same kind of approach, but they're obviously going to be building with better because they're going to be getting a lot back from KD, from Kyrie. So they're basically going to outsource their tank in effect. That's how that'll work.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Wizards. Bradley Beal got a lot of money.
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
a lot of money.
Not a surprise, right?
Nope.
This is what we've been projecting would happen. Now the question is, can the Wizards build a winner around him, and does this become a pay me now, figure out my destination later situation?
Maybe. I don't think so, just because how outspoken he has been. Of I want to be in Washington, I want to win here, this is my place. He's basically the East Coast version of Damian Lillard in that sense. I do think if we're a year or two into this and Bradley Beal says, all right, you know what, I am ready to go, I'd like to be traded somewhere else, then I think what happens is Wizards fans are like, okay, you gave us a decade. Like we couldn't get it done with you. Like, we get it. We'll still always love you, and off we go. And that'll be, where that goes, there. So, but I don't even know that it comes to that. I think he's, content to be there. Here's one of my kind of issues with this is Bradley Beal is a very, very good player. He is a, all-star on the top end. I don't know that we see him challenged for an all-NBA slot anymore. And he's getting paid like an average of $50 million a year. That's tough. That's
so you're
basically
saying this could turn into a bad contract.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting 35% of the cap. Like, that's a little rough. And if the injury history crops back up, which it did last year, but it was a weird injury. It was a left wrist from a fall kind of thing. So just, a little odd. I don't mind somebody in the chat. Apollo says Levine, Beal, or Crazy Maxes. I don't mind the Levine one as much. He's enough younger.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, moving on. DeLon Wright there got most of the non-taxpayer mid-level for him. I like that. Good signing. Solid player. Him and Monte Morris, you've got your point guard position covered now.
Correct.
So that's pretty good. And then Anthony Gill, and it was funny. This was one of the earlier deals that was announced, and a lot of people are like, "Who? Like, who is Anthony Gill?" He didn't get to play a ton last year, and one of the things that the Wizards have, I believe they said this publicly. If not, there was very good reporting on it. Was that we should have played him more. This guy played overseas for a number of years. If anybody follows John Hollinger or listens to him, he does about mid-season every year. He does a best players not in the NBA. And it's not talking college kids and stuff like that.
Right. Overseas
veteran guys. Yeah, overseas guys, or Americans playing overseas. He spends a lot of time talking to those guys, and he does a whole show. I think he does it with Nate Duncan on their podcast, but I think he also writes an article. And for a number of years, Anthony Gill was on his list. His first year he came over and didn't do anything. Last year, so it's a little, take these numbers with a massive grain of salt, because you got to really do some projecting here. But 4.1 points per game. Nothing super special there, right? But he shot 57% from the field and he shot 53.8% from three. Now, the 53.8% is only on 26 attempts, but this guy's historically been a pretty good 3-point shooter too. So don't be surprised if they clear out the front court a little bit, if we're in the middle of the season and it's like, where'd this Anthony Gill guy come from? He can kind of play because the Wizards obviously by giving it's only a 2-year minimum deal, but by giving him that, this is a this shows that they're pretty happy to have him around.
Yeah, agreed. So it would be a name to watch out for there. Esham 976 is asking a question on the Wizards. What will they pay Kyle Kuzma? They don't have to yet.
Yeah, they don't have to yet. I think he's got one more year left.
One more year, 13 million, and then a player option for 13 million next summer.
Yeah, so he'll opt out of that, of course, because he'll be looking to make more than that. Let's see. I mean, a guy who I don't think a lot of people realize he had such a good year last year was Rui Hachimura. It took a long time for him to play, but I mean, I think I'm on the Wizards page, so I can pull it up just real quick while we're talking it. He had an outstanding season once he actually started to play. What do you think he just? Hopefully, you're not looking. What do you think? What do you think Rui Hachimura shot from three last year?
Oh, that was part of his game that needed work. But since you're asking the question, I'm going to assume it's better than I would think. So I'm going to say 37, 38%.
44.7%.
Oh my God. I never would have
attempts per game.
Wow.
Yeah. So like a pretty real volume too. Of attempts, 11.3 points in only 22 and a half minutes, 49% overall. He can't, I don't think we ever got the story of what was going on that took him so long to play last year. It seems like something COVID related and something family related, but yeah, I mean, he came in, and once he came in, started to really show some stuff. So that's a very long answer to Esham's question. Let's see where it goes with Kyle Kuzma, because they may look at it and say, oh, we kind of like Rui, kind of like Anthony Gill, we kind of like Denny Avdia, who can play some of the four for us. So let's see. They've got a lot of stuff to sort out there, especially with their forward group. There's a lot of guys in that grouping in Washington.
Okay.
All right. Hey, I want to do the extensions because we didn't do those yet. So you can take the screen off the board because those are on a whole different place.
Cool.
But we didn't talk any of the extensions except we talked Jokic and Booker, I think. Right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So here's what we know. We're not going to talk we already talked Zubac, Harris, Young, and Prince. So we're going to talk the new ones, the big ones, the big dogs. Let's first talk Towns. He got the exact same extension as Devin Booker, both designated player extensions off of their current deals, 4 years, adding $224 million, an average of $56 million a year for those two guys. Just
the Wolves front court, super expensitive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Wolves front court's going to be a $90 to $100 million front court at some point. Isn't that bananas?
Yeah,
like
in today's NBA, right? Yeah. In today's NBA, that you would have two bigs like that, making that kind of money.
$100 million between them, which is crazy. But Booker and Towns, two all NBA guys, two really good players. This also locks them in for a year. They can't be traded for a year once they sign these extensions. Not that they were going to be anyway, but just in case anybody was dreaming. Jokic,
like the Kevin Durant trade.
What's
that? That was the rumor, was that the Nets wanted a Phoenix package to start with Devin Booker on Kevin Durant.
Because of the designated player rule, they would have had to also have traded Ben Simmons. So, but anyway, now then the other two that we want to talk for a minute here, John Morant and Zion Williamson. Now, funny reporting, right? We always talk about this. The reporting comes out and it's very super, player friendly and all this stuff. So it came out as 200 something million dollars for Williamson and Morant. These are really what this is going to be. These are really 5-year, $193 million. I know, poor them, right? They're, I hope they can feed themselves off of that, pittance. But what there is there's going to be the designated player language. Sometimes people call this the Rose Rule. For our purposes here, it's close enough. They are going to, if they qualify, which means making All NBA, one of them winning MVP or one of them winning Defensive Player of the Year. So really, we're talking All NBA probably. Then they qualify for the much bigger money. John Morant, no brainer, right? Just give it to him. Gets for likely we'll have a player option on the last year, and off we go. Now, Zion, though, what we're hearing with his is there's going to be kind of some give and take both ways. So it'll be Zion is going to probably give some protections to the Pelicans based off some prior injuries, much like the original Joel Embiid extension with the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm guessing that what the Pelicans give back on the backside of that is they give him a player option in exchange for, hey, all right, if you're going to do that, we'll do the player option on the backside for you, and that's how they balance it out. So
That makes sense.
yep.
And I think these moves, make sense.
Yeah. It's only 85 games for Zion, but boy, were those 85 games special.
Absolutely.
He was so good.
He was really good. Yeah. Really good.
Right, we got a couple questions in the chat.
I've got something for you here first.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. You go first.
Okay? You need to see this. Okay. So winning free agency, we already talked about Ja Raff for the Memphis Zoo.
Oh, man, I love it. I can't wait.
The Memphis Zoo put this on their Instagram account today. While all eyes are on the NBA, we would also like to announce we are extending the contracts of our Grizzlies too. Their lifetime deal comes with 400,000 pieces of their favorite fruit, meat, and veggies. By the way, congrats to our friend Ja Morant on his extension with the Memphis Grizzlies.
I love
this. This makes up somewhat for trading away Ja Raff in my mind.
I love it. This is great. Yeah. Look at him come tearing out there. He's like, well, what do we got going on here? I love when they do this stuff with the animal. Yeah. I would watch this stuff all day. That's great.
Absolutely. So new contracts for not just Ja, but for the actual Grizzlies at the zoo as well.
Yeah, Trevor in the Memphis Zoo, man. You're on it.
We're like this. We're friends.
That's it, man. You're pulling it together. All right, a couple questions out of the chat. R Fritz 901 says, "What do you guys think the Garland and Barrett rookie extensions look like?" I wrote all about rookie scale extensions. I went through and started projecting some of those. So what I am going to do, my friend, is I am going to drop that link in the chat for you so that you can go and read that article yourself versus me reading it to you. I think that is the best way to do that. So let me do that and drop that guy in there for you. With that, but then and then there was another one. Somebody's asking, why didn't the Lakers announce Lonnie Walker? We already talked about this. There's a pretty good reason for this. They cannot announce guys who signed for more than the minimum, and he signed for the minimum, so you cannot announce those deals just yet.
Correct. Yep, he got the taxpayer mid level, so that's why that has not been announced as of this point.
There can be trades. This question's being asked in the chat. There can be trades. The trades just can't be announced until what will happen now is the league is officially in moratorium. So unless they're minimum deals or rookie signings or two-way signings, no other deals can be announced right now until noon on July 6th. That's when the moratorium lifts, and then that's how we can go. And yes, Dennis Schroeder is still available.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick because there's some guys still on. Where is TJ Warren? What's going on there? What's going on with is a D'Angelo Russell trade coming? What's going on with John Collins? Like there's a lot of questions still kind of out there right now that have yet to be answered. So while most people like free agency, it's winding down a little bit, but there's some big topics that are still out there right now beyond just Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving that are unresolved as of this moment.
Yeah, somebody also asked too if the Celtics will still use the traded player exception, the $17.1 million. I tend to think not, or maybe some of it, but I don't think they're going to use all of it because I think what the deal is there is they're content to go into the tax, and they're pretty deep. They're about 18 million into the tax already. I don't think they want to be $20-30 million into the tax, which that would come if they use that. So let's see. I mean, maybe if some player comes available, that's like, well, we can't pass on this guy. They'll get him, and then they'll figure out all the rest later. But I tend to think the Celtics are down to minimum signings at best the rest of the way.
There's basketball tomorrow.
Yeah, there is.
Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
That just occurred to me. There's games on tomorrow.
Yep.
We've got
5
tomorrow
p.m.
the
Eastern, Lakers Heat.
Lakers Heat tomorrow, and then the Kings and the Warriors tomorrow.
Yep. Yep. Summer League, California
Wow,
Classic, Summer League starting up. Get it cranked up.
that's right.
Not
ESPN2 for the first game, and NBA TV for the second game.
Yeah. And we got well, we get maybe Keegan Murray will play in
Yeah,
that second game. Doesn't sound like Wiseman's gonna play in this one. Sounds like they're
yeah.
targeting Vegas for him, but maybe Kaminga, maybe Moody appear here. Let's
Yeah.
see. For them. On the Lakers side, Max Christie. I don't know who else is on the Lakers summer league roster. I haven't seen.
I mean, it'll be Scottie Pippen Jr. and
Yeah, that's true.
Cole
Yeah.
Swider and
Yep.
those guys.
Okay.
Those
Yeah.
guys will be out
So
there.
in the Heat, maybe Nikola Jovic will play.
Mm-hmm.
For them. So yeah, we get a little summer league, and then to get the same thing on Sunday, and then I think we Monday the 4th day off of basketball.
Yep.
Then we get the Salt Lake City Summer League starts up.
Are we
Yeah,
really
for
going
a
to get a
couple
day
days.
off on the 4th, or is that the day the Durant trade is coming
Yeah,
down?
it's funny. I said this to a few people earlier today. I said, you know what? I bet this all goes down on the 4th, just so everybody's families are like livid.
Yep.
Like, come on, come, cook the burgers or,
Mhm.
play a game or whatever. And it's like, we're all going to be sitting there. At least he's not a free agent. We're all just going to be sitting around, like, waiting on Gordon Hayward or KD when he went to the Warriors the 1st time. That was
Yep.
also July 4th. So, yeah. Yeah. Team Canada, man, they're kind of loaded. Don Vito's talking about that. SGA played for them. Nikhil Alexander Walker played. They've got some guys on that thing.
Yeah.
Wait, I see a couple people asking. We didn't talk about Miles Bridges because I think he got charged officially today.
Yeah.
I don't know what the charges are, so I don't want to speak on that specifically. I'm sure you can Google it and find it. But we don't know. And the jokes aren't funny. This is not a funny situation. This is absolutely horrible. So I wouldn't even make the jokes on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just, when we look at a situation like this, I'm one who's very much, innocent until proven guilty, and there's two sides to every story and all that. So we don't have all of the details on exactly what happened, but what we saw this morning was horrifying.
Awful. Yeah.
Terrible,
Yep.
awful. I mean, can't even put words to it. And I would have to imagine that his NBA future is very much in jeopardy, in addition to maybe his just real world future in terms of his own freedom.
And the opinion, like you said, it isn't to proven guilty, but I think there's enough evidence to show that there's pretty good reason to think. So I am, right now I reserve right to change my mind if we find out all this new stuff. For right now, keep this guy away from basketball as far away as we can. That's, I said that on Twitter today, and I'll stand by that. So,
yep. All right.
Well, that ended on a down.
Yeah, that ended on a downer.
Let's see if
I should have saved the zoo thing for the very end.
I know, right? That would have been fun. Yeah. We could have seen that. I'm just trying to see if there's any. I've
got something.
All right, go ahead. Do it.
Bring
us up. Pick us up.
Ron Gutterman is back with Lakers Nation.
Yeah, our buddy.
Well, welcome back, Ron. Good to have him back, and he'll join us in summer league, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, absolutely. Chris asks, when does free agency end? It doesn't really end.
Yeah.
Kind of the start of the regular season. There's not really an end to free agency.
Correct.
With this, so yeah, it's yep. So yep.
All right.
A lot more to come. We'll see. Let's go. We got just stuff. Gonna continue to keep plowing through. Here. And it's let's see. What do you think? All right, let's end on this. Without saying where is KD gonna go, what is your when do you think it goes down?
My hope is that it goes down tomorrow.
Yeah,
but I am flying out to Vegas for summer league the night of the 5th, so that is when it is going to go down. Well, while I am in the air, and yeah, that's when it's going to go down.
While you're in the air with probably in just the way things work, it'll probably be no Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi on the flight. Yeah. Yes, I already looked. There is no Wi-Fi on the flight, so I am going to be in a dead zone for a bit. And yeah,
that is rough.
it's days away and I'm already stressed out over it. Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
So this is just kind of interesting. I have a friend of mine. He went on a hiking trip. That's like a 2 week long like hiking trip through like the Appalachian Mountains,
Mhm.
and he used someone else's phone to post an update on Facebook saying, "Hey, when I left for my trip, I left my phone at home by mistake, so I'm just going to be without it." And like I can't even imagine. Like he has a like a
Start getting shaky and
yeah,
yeah,
he has like a satellite phone to like because he's like on this hiking trip by like himself. But
right.
yeah, it was crazy. I was like, that's bananas. Like I don't know. As everybody knows, I dropped mine and was out without it for a day, and I like didn't know what to do. I was like, how does this work? How does life
It's like
function?
I'm missing a body part here.
Yeah, it really was. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't like, how do I play music? How do I get news? How do I communicate with people? Like it was, rough go for your boy, but I made it through on the end.
Oh, Nick says get to the airport early. Yeah, I'm anticipating that I may have to do some stuff from the airport and try to post it from there on airport Wi-Fi and do
Yeah,
that. That may be a thing.
no doubt.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right, guys, enjoy the night. We'll
Yep.
see if anything breaks. If it's super duper monster KD news, maybe we'll come back, but probably not. That's probably going to do it for tonight.
Right.
Trevor, it's 10 o'clock. I might go to bed at a reasonable hour tonight.
No.
Thinking about
No. Can't do that.
it.
All right, everybody. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.